Greetings, girls, and welcome back to another episode of Starfleet Command, Orion Pirates Mod. I'm Admiral Tarek of the battleship Infiltrator, as we continue our campaigns of, well, conquering all of neutral space, but really more of just sort of encircling the Federation, so they really can't interfere with anybody else's whole space shtick. So far, we've been doing a fairly decent job of conquering the northern edge of the galaxy, and we're probably just going to continue to do that, although we are, of course, moving down towards the left side as we attempt to conquer this planet here at 9-5. So, with the introductions and such out of the way, let's move into the middle of a black hole and see exactly what we run into. Apparently absolutely nothing, because everyone knows to avoid black holes whenever possible. So we're going to zip on back to the planet, and a mission does pop up. Going to take a straight up planetary assault, because I find it to be a little bit more enjoyable than a shipyard assault. So we're going to kick butt, take names, and hopefully win all the victories. And we have no friends on this one, which is actually good for us, because that means we don't have to worry about any sort of supporting forces to mess with our conquering of the location. If the ISC ever has any supporting forces, they immediately don't get to have any sort of Empire Assault influence on them. Now, I can see from this distance it shows a battleship, but you may ask yourself, is that a battleship or a battleship carrier? Well, thankfully, because we differentiate between the two in model, we can tell that that is a Sovereign class, and that makes it a standard Federation battleship. So I'm not quite sure what class this is. It's like a Hitak or something? No, not a Hitak, but it's a something, I think, versus a Sovereign class. Considering that the Sovereign was designed to fight the Borg, and its predecessor, the Galaxy, was designed to fight... Oh, there's two Sovereigns. Oh, this is going to get much more rough than I thought it was going to be. And we only have 3 squadrons of fighters. That is less than ideal. Right. Okay. So we can overload all of our weapon systems, but hopefully now we're going to have to basically a fighter dump on top of somebody. We're just going to launch every single one of our fighters on top of them, hopefully gut them before anything can really happen. A not considerable amount of our firepower is wrapped up into our fighter systems, but it is rather significant. So we are going to have to somewhat keep that in mind. Hopefully we won't get killed by this. It would be rather embarrassing to get destroyed on the first mission of the day. So let's make sure that we have a sufficient amount of electronic countermeasure, as well as all other systems do I need at the moment. I can sap a little bit for more speed, as we'll move on a little bit quicker. When our I-type plasma torpedoes and our S-type plasma torpedoes conclude their charging, that should leave us open to be able to fire, to have a lot more shield power in our defense. We're going to have to make great use of those I-type plasma torpedoes for additional firepower into the enemy, because this is gonna get ugly and quite painful. So I think I may actually want to go to you're going up to the maximum, and now you're dropping. I'm gonna go with a 5-1 strategy on this one, because photon torpedoes are very negatively affected by incoming ECM. So if we can have that under control, we might make it so that he can't hit the broadside of a barn. I'm actually gonna now move up. And are you going to respond to that? He is going to respond to it. He's already trying to knock out a single one. Let's see if he wants to try and hit with more. Sort of the electronic warfare pre-game that we're currently dealing with. And he's gone down because he wants accurate fire with his photon torpedoes. I was able to reduce it rather considerably. Lovely. Okay. All right, prepare for fighter launch. I think we're going to want to have them ready to rock and roll. Actually, no. We'll wait. We'll wait on the fighter launch until just the right moment. That'll probably be after we hit the target. Do I fire an S-type now? Incoming more photon torpedo fire. Decent number of hits actually on that one. And about to pull within range. Slow down even more. And good hookup. Lovely. He has reduced his speed rather considerably, and it took us quite a bit of firepower to try and crush through his forward shield. I'm not entirely certain I'm going to be able to handle that. Fire pseudo. And incoming missiles as well. Was that a scatter pack? It was not. Okay. Tractor beams on point defense. We're going to absorb this initial fighter squadron hit, as we basically drop down to a crawl. And yeah, a fighter squadron has been defeated, and looks like that has decided to get in my way. Alright, so we have lost an important forward starboard shield. You are starting to accelerate. I know that your point defense can fire anyway, but I gotta have to get this off right now, I think. Get ready with the plasma torpedo strike. We gotta wait until he hits a speed of 4. That'll be important. Point defense phasers, kicking butt, taking names on his fighter squadron. They have been defeated by my fighters. 3.1, but it's not quite there just yet. We need a little bit more. Come on, give me a little bit more time. In fact, I may actually have another PPD strike coming up. Unfortunately, we lost one of our PPDs, so that is unfortunate in the maximum. And solid hits from my plasma torpedoes, and another PPD strike is actually incoming. Okay, so we did not deal as much damage as we needed to, unfortunately, and the fighters also did not annihilate the Napoleon, which that was kind of important to making happen. I'm going to sort of continue to turn around, see if I can't cause enough damage to the Thresher to make it give up and surrender to me. You PPDs back down to normal, plasma torpedoes down to normal, and I'm just going to continue to shoot on my way to pass through, because if I can hurt him enough... Speaking of transporters, hi. 13, yeah, that's not going to work. Oh, no. Yeah, we're not making it out of this one. Unfortunately, there's just a little bit too much firepower coming down onto us, and of course the Napoleon completely untouched with all the incoming fire. I was perhaps a little bit cocky at the idea that an ISC battleship carrier could take on, well, the latest and greatest from the Federation, their BBX battleship, which is a fairly powerful battleship. The Federation, what is it, the Mars or the Ares class or something like that? Is not the sort of ship you should just sort of ignore in terms of firepower. The ISC did actually rank fairly poorly in our battleship list, mainly because they're not really designed to operate on their own as opposed to a sovereign. So there goes that ship. Kind of to be expected. But hey, I wanted to see if I could give it a shot. After all, we're closing in on the final episode. Alright, come back home. We have about 8,000 prestige, which is always quite nice. And we're looking for an XCB if it happens to be in stock. We've run into the XCFs and the XCAs now, and there's an XSC, but is the XCB out just yet? It is. Alright, so the XCB does exist somewhere in the galaxy now at this moment. We just need to wait until one actually manages to pop up. In the meantime, we will hang out in our current vessel, because I don't want an XCF. The difference is the XCF is 2 plasma S's, 8 plasma Fs. Wait, 8 plasma Fs? Really? That is a lot of plasma F, actually. 2 plasma Ds, 2 phaser G, and 9 phaser X. As opposed to the advanced bombardment cruiser, which is, you know, changes all of those Fs into a whole bunch of PPDs. In total, 6 of them. 4 forward, 2 aft, and 2 plasma S's. Basically has the same amount of firepower as the Dreadnought we've been in. I am a little bit tempted to maybe go over and swap for the advanced fast cruiser. That looks interesting. And then where's the XCA? The XCA kind of mixes the two. Gives you a whole bunch of heavy phasers instead of the second set of plasma F torpedoes, and gives you the 4 PPDs on the front, but no PPDs on the back. Oof, it's tempting. I think the S plasma torpedoes are aimed in front, though, on the heavy bombardment cruiser. That's kind of what I want to sort of lean into. Because as cool as it is to just dump a massive volley of plasma torpedoes on top of somebody, maybe don't want to rely on that. But again, you know what, let's buy it. Let's have a little bit of fun with it. Go over to the shipyard. We're going to take our D&M and trade that in. Make sure that we have enough cash. That way it'll be really easy in the future. If the XCB comes up, we can easily get our hands on that one as well. So I just want to try this one because I've never actually given a shot for the fast cruiser. Alright, so locked down. Let's set up into neutral space. And a surprise at first is not exactly what I wanted to start the day with, but I suppose that's what I'm going to have to work with. Alrighty then. So we'll ready up. We're red alert. Oh yes, it's this ship. Oh, I like this ship. This is the Cardassian sort of light cruiser type ship. Do I have a good image of myself? Not really. But a double-hulled light cruiser style of vessel. It is a very cool ship in my opinion. Alright, let's go take a look at these arcs. Yeah, all those plasma Fs aim forward. So phasers are all good. I'm going to actually set those to overload. 2 should just be my plasmas, which I will unselect the plasma D because I don't actively control that one. And 3 is basically everything. Oh, that's fine. Alright, so we're going to see exactly how much damage we can cause to somebody. We can actually pick up quite a bit of speed. Traveling at a speed of 15 just to start with is always quite nice. But I want to get on top of these guys sooner rather than later. I need to double check. Can I enveloping? I cannot enveloping plasma F torpedoes. I didn't think I could. I was 99% positive, but there was always that one little bit. I'm thinking G-type plasma torpedoes as being the ones that I can sort of re-rig as other types of weapon systems. No, I do need to get there as fast as possible. We can always slow down to engage after we've made it to the target, although it does look like we are not going to have our plasma torpedoes fully charged by the time we actually reach there. So that's going to suck a little bit, but we shouldn't have too much trouble with them. So we have an STJF is a Mauler. Interesting. Is that a light cruiser Mauler? You run into some fairly interesting Maulers when you're out in the middle of nowhere. Okay, kick on the forward reinforcement. Hit him with the overloaded phaser. That did almost nothing. Okay, we're going to basically hit ourselves in the face to do this. But I'm going to do it, because I think it's going to be hilarious. Perfect. By perfect, I mean, yeah, good enough. Alright, we got a police ship, an FLG, another police ship, and a police ship. So I think the FLG probably outguns the police ship a little bit. Oh yeah, the expenditure generator is sort of the key here of things to keep your eye on as to what's important and what isn't. So we'll just go within range, start lighting them up with our heavy, well, not heavy phasers. Oh, our S-type plasma torpedoes only shoot backwards. Because that's brilliant. Okay, select the S's. Who came up with this plan? So this is clearly not a sieging ship. It will not do that job very well at all. Well, that was useful. I think just outside of 10 ought to be close enough. So I'm not sure if we're going to keep this ship just because of the danger that presents. A significant amount of our firepower only shoots backwards. That is, well, that is the ISC way in the truest and most simple form. Got to come in here with our phasers once again. Our plasma torpedoes are going to take a while to charge. Some good solid hits, but he's not dead. I think the Gatling phaser, though, might be able to finish him off. And so we'll sort of position ourselves to sort of take advantage of that fact. Let's see if I can get the Gatling phaser on. There we go. That worked out perfectly. Start to slow down again as we come around for another phaser barrage. And I think this time he'll actually die. Just purely based on the fact that this time he's badly damaged. And that's dead. So we've got one more set of plasma torpedoes that we need to dish out to somebody. And you are that somebody, sir. Now the fun thing about the X-type phasers is that they do charge at basically double speed, so you can fire them twice in a round should you happen to have the power for it. Unfortunately, the phaser capacitor doesn't charge any faster. There's all the plasma. Lovely. So that was actually kind of the perfect mission for a Cardassian XCF, yeah, because our weapons don't... maybe it wasn't. It allowed us to demonstrate our great speed and maneuverability, but I'm not sure if we have a sufficient amount of firepower in such a heavy package, which is a little bit dangerous to think about. Up over here, straight up patrol. Now we can actually get a real idea of exactly what this thing can do. So we're going to prepare ourselves for the maximum of speed. And we shall nimbly evade the enemy. And I will actually go to all systems overload. And that will reduce my speed somewhat, but I should still be able to get up to a fairly respectable rate. Yeah, about 13 or so that's fine. Kick on the forward shield and reinforcement. Not that we're going to need it, but it is, well, we might end up needing it depending on what we run into. However, it is a light cruiser. Oh, it's an X-type light cruiser, so we are dealing with an X-destroyer from the Mermac Star League, and it is an XDG, a guided light destroyer, which is even worse because that means he brought even more missiles. So we are dealing with, yeah, triple Merv. That is not something you want to deal with. Take it from me. That's not an amount of pain that you want to deal with. Okay, I'm going to select 2 of my plasma F torpedoes. I'm going to slow down the speed of time. And then I'm going to fire these in pseudo mode and immediately break off. And see how he responds to that. I'm hoping he's going to crash stop. And he did. Lovely. So the reason why I want to keep him the range is because right here he's got 18 missiles alone just out of the Mervs. So if he wants to, he can cause some tremendous amounts of damage to me. Amounts of damage that I really don't want to have to deal with. I'm going to put my S-type plasma torpedoes. Maybe not. I'm kind of hoping I'll have a shot on him, but that might not end up being the case. No, it does not appear to be. Alright, so we'll whip this ship back on around. I will lob out my port sign plasma S torpedo on towards him, and we'll prepare the forward F-type barrage. There's really no other way to describe that. It's just a massive barrage of plasma that I can throw out at somebody. This may be the least good ship to utilize the sort of... Yep, that's what I was worried about. Oh, Gatling phasers are really good. I perhaps did not need to worry about it nearly as much as I thought I did. Now he's zipping on super high speeds. We are not zipping around at quite nearly as much speeds. I am going to select all weapons. We're going to go back down to normal mode. That frees up just a little bit more power. And since we're not really utilizing our... Since we're not really utilizing our phasers all that much, although perhaps we should be, we can keep the speed up pretty high. I don't want to use any consumables like mines, although it's really not the biggest thing in the world if we do, because we're not going to be in the ship much longer. We do intend to sort of trade it in for the newer, better model of the XCB, because I like PPDs. They're a lot of fun, and I enjoy utilizing them. So let's see how my power spread currently is. I've got 13 points of power. Let's see if we can't mess with him a little bit. I'm going to pump up the electronic countermeasure by 6, because I have the power free and available to do so. And I will chuck out the pseudo torpedo, just sort of bait that out. I believe he's got 2 shuttles, And this'll help reduce that number, especially as our other plasma torpedoes come online. Am I not charging one? Oh no, it's just a graphical glitch. Okay, we can work with that. We're another turn and a half away from having another Plasma F barrage ready to rock and roll. And one of our SI plasma torpedoes also very soon to be ready to shoot, which will be lovely, although it does look like they're not charging all that quickly. Ah, Plasma, you are one of the most frustrating and amazing weapon systems at the same time. Because when Plasma hits, it hits like a truck, which is awesome, but at the same time, it can sometimes take a while for Plasma to hit. Alright, we're just going to bring the ship around, and we're going to dump a Plasma S torpedo in his face. Because I think it's ready. There it goes. Letting that out the back hatch. And he shouldn't have any wild weasels available in order to respond to this one. And as we come around again, we should actually have our plasma torpedoes ready to go. In fact, what I can do is fire the 2 central mounts, because those are always ready to shoot. We'll start breaking again. He's trying to whittle down the shield, and we should probably pay more attention to that. More solid hits, and that actually killed him. I wasn't actually expecting that. So as far as X-type vessels go, I actually think the XDG might be better than the XCF from Merak versus ISC. Not quite sure, because... So this ship is very much equivalent to a Gorn ship, the Advanced Plasma Destroyer, and that outguns this. And it's a destroyer, so I'm not too thrilled about it. What else you got? Got an XCB for me yet? You do have a battleship. We could go up to a normal battleship because the battleship carrier worked so well for us. Show me the difference between the battleship and the battleship carrier. The difference is just a couple of phasers. Is that seriously it? Goes from 11 to 13 phasers. There's gotta be something more. Huh. Alright, so we're definitely in the market for a XCB, but unfortunately it's not available. What's this XSC you got? 2 Fs, which I assume face backwards, a D-type, and yeah, that's pretty awful. Alright, MET-17 patrol is fairly buggy. Let's dip into Federation space and say hi. Oh, straight up MET-10 patrol, lovely. This is exactly what I like to fight. So we're going to duel it out with the Federation, see what they want to sort of send our way. And we will overload the system, since we're not currently engaged and I don't necessarily have to keep the speed up, especially if we're fighting Federation ships. Federation ships tend to be incredibly vulnerable to the sorts of attacks that we provide. And we'll increase the speed of time as we sort of surge on into the zone, somewhere off there. There he is. Oh, it's an Akira. Holy crap. So we're dealing with a full-on XCA. The Akira class is representative of the entirety of the Federation XCA. And that means he's packing heavy photon torpedoes in mass, which means he has a rather significant amount of firepower. I'm actually going to buff my electronic countermeasures to max, because I don't want to deal with what an Akira can spit my way. He is capable of lobbing 6 heavy photon torpedoes. Each heavy photon torpedo, even when fired in, what's the mode called? Proximity mode, there it is. Even when fired in proximity mode, will deal 8 damage. Normal mode will deal 16 damage. Overload will do 32 damage. He's a nightmare and terrifying, but he also is overgunned and underpowered. That is actually one of the major concerns of the Federation heavy cruiser, or X-type heavy cruiser line, is the amount of guns that they have well outstrips any sort of power generation they could ever sort of maintain and manage. So he's gonna have maybe 1 salvo, and traveling at a speed of 20, that's gonna be a little bit rough for trying to generate that 1 salvo. He is attempting to counter my electronic countermeasures. I think he's realized the danger. Here come the heavy photons. Oh, we missed us all completely. More incoming. 2 more missed. Alright, that was your entire show, buddy. So I'm going to pick up the pace rather considerably. And we're going to prepare our initial plasma volley up front. Oh, we have friends. I didn't even notice that. And fire the pseudos and break off. So we're being escorted today by the Justice, and the Justice is a little tiny Hideki, which actually his fighter squadron is larger than he is. And that's his crash top. Lovely. So I am traveling a little bit too quickly, which is somewhat unfortunate. But we go out, and then we go back in. And it may actually be tempting to really try and take down this shuttle. Because if we take out the shuttle, then that makes life just a little bit easier. Although it looks like he's going to outpace the speed in time. Start to slow well down, prepare our plasma. Starting to engage on point defense. Yeah, this is not going to go well for you, buddy. The range is long, I gotta get closer, unfortunately. I don't want to get closer, considering the amount of firepower he has at his disposal. A Federation heavy cruiser, X-type heavy cruiser, is a nightmare in close. And he's got a high energy turn, spin that sucker around, which is actually going to hold him in position in the middle of space. And phasers on through the hull. Lovely. And we're just going to sort of break on out so I can bring my own Gatling phasers to bear. I was actually expecting him to have his Gatling phasers shoot at me, but apparently not. That'll actually allow us to pull away quite nicely. And another plasma torpedo and the rest of our phasers. We need to not be in front of him, by the way. He has those. The X-type the heavy photon torpedoes are nasty, nasty weapons. I'm going to go set my plasma torpedoes back to normal mode. I'd rather have the power than the addition, well, the speed for the power instead of the additional firepower. Mainly because also, it's not the most brilliant strategy to have enveloping plasma torpedoes against X ships. Their shields tend to be incredibly powerful early on, so going for an enveloping strike really doesn't do nearly as much as you might think it does. Gatling phasers spitting out and getting quite a bit of disabling damage on into the target. We've already managed to knock out most of his heavy photon torpedoes, and we'll pull on right away once again. I'm in a position where you could... Oh, never mind. I was about to say, I'm in a position where you could shoot back. He's not. He's lost all of his weapon systems, more or less. So, plink it away with the rest of the phasers, and we have pretty much a good position for a high energy turn. He's lost all of his power, he's lost all of his heavy photon torpedoes. The Cardassian vessels proving to be superior to their Federation counterparts. And actually, he's not even our counterpart, he's our superior. Because we are the X-type fast cruiser, and he is just a straight-up X-type heavy cruiser. So he should have won this battle, and he simply did not. Alright, prepare the plasma strike. Come in for a final run with all 8 of our plasma torpedoes. This is 160 damage. Like, I do kind of talk down on it a little bit, but this is nearly the full amount of damage that can be dealt from a King Condor, which has 200 damage in its forward barrage. Now, when the King Condor decides that it wants to go full crazy on someone in an enveloping plasma torpedo, that changes significantly, but just straight up penetration damage, we actually literally match it. 270 prestige is a reward for a job well done. Tile neutral. Pop on back home. Hello, my shipyard. Do you have anything? Come on, you know what I'm looking for. Unfortunately not. Well, that's going to do it for today's episode, folks. I've been Tarek. If you like what you've been seeing, hit that like button and subscribe. Before I see a notification every time I upload these videos, press that little bell icon. Leave a comment. Make sure you join us for our streams on Wednesdays and Saturdays. Normally, we play Rogue Tech, Apollo's Vipers, a clan start campaign. And if you don't know what any of that means, go check out the VODs that you can find over on our channel. And I will see you all in the next episode.